This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Let me get into something that I do want to talk about, and that is the NFL now and their new rule to hire minorities. Now, I got to tell you something. I understand that they're making an effort to try to get them to hire more minorities, and I understand that. And right now, what do we have? 4 coaches out of 32 are minorities, and 2 general managers out of 32 are minorities. So it's a major problem. It's been a major problem forever in the NFL, hiring minorities. But this thing about giving teams incentives if you hire a minority, I find it insulting. And it shows you also how these owners are so out of touch that they think they're doing something productive and something progressive. And it doesn't, I don't think they realize how racist this makes them look, actually. Because basically you're telling the world, well, you know, we have our racist point of views, but we're going to try to get out of those racist point of views by incentivizing our owners to try to hire minorities so that way we could get more minorities in the mix. Basketball has no problem hiring minorities. Why? Basketball doesn't have a problem with a gay player. Why? Basketball doesn't have a problem hiring women. Why? Well, because basketball is actually progressive. Because basketball understands humanity in ways that football still can't. And I understand that you're trying to get people to hire them. And I'm talking about minorities like Ron Rivera and Chris Grier. And I know you should hire more of those. And obviously, there are plenty of minorities that are more than qualified. You've been using them as players. You've been using them as assistant coaches. You've been using them as scouts for years. It's the same thing that happened in football years ago. Oh, a black player can't be a head coach. He can't be a quarterback. He can't be a middle linebacker. That's a thinking part of the game. You can't put a black player there. That was the thinking, right? And now we've finally crossed that threshold with quarterbacks. Obviously, middle linebackers years ago. But with quarterbacks, we're kind of through that now over the last 20, 25, 30 years. I think now teams don't care if the guy is black, white, Hispanic, Asian. They don't care. They want to win. They got to find the best player. They've kind of gotten, but we're not there yet with head coaches. We're not there yet with general managers. Why? Why do we keep passing up people that are qualified? So Chris Grier was good enough to be your assistant as a scout and as a college director of scouting. He was good enough to give you suggestions, but never good enough to hire until like 18 years later that the owner figured out wait a minute, everybody keeps that guy around and his reports are really good. So then why don't we hire that guy that everybody likes, everybody keeps, his reports obviously filed are pretty accurate overall. So why don't we give him the job? So why did it take you 18 years to keep hiring the white dude until you finally hired the black guy? I've been championing Alonzo Highsmith for a long time now to be a general manager. He's black, right? Last time I checked, right? Is Alonzo Highsmith black?
When we saw him at the Senior Bowl, yes. Walking in, he's still black, yes.
Okay, he's black. All right, so, and he's good enough to give you advice in Green Bay. He's good enough to give you advice in Cleveland. Now they hired him in Seattle. Okay? Oh, and by the way, when they keep hiring you, it's because you're good. Okay? Because, I always get the fan that says, well, that guy's been around like on 7 or 8 teams. He must suck. No, asswipe. He's been around to 7 or 8 teams because he's actually good. That's why they keep giving him a job. So when you see that assistant bounce around, it's because he's not the problem with the team that lost or the head coach. He did his job. That's why somebody else hired him, because he wasn't part of the problem. So when the new general manager took over for the Dolphins every other time, he scoured through the entire staff. He looked at their track record. And somewhere or another, they kept Chris Grier around every single time. I wonder why. So at one point, we got to cross the threshold where the black guy is good enough to hire as the head coach or the general manager. And they got these silly little rules. This story broken by Jim Trotter, by the way, from the NFL Network. You hire a head coach, you'll move up 6 spots in the 3rd round. You hire a general manager, you'll move up 10 spots in the 3rd round. You hire a coach and a general manager that are both minorities, you will move up 16 spots. Also, the team's 4th round pick will move up 5 spots in the coach or general manager's 3rd year. If you hire a minority QB coach, you get a compensatory 4th round pick. Now, what I will say this, because I'm kind of cynical a little bit here, because I've been lied to so much over the years. Can you imagine if these incentives were higher? If there were 1st or 2nd round picks, you would literally have people hiring black general managers and coaches just to get the extra picks and then fire their asses a couple years later. But because they're, 3rd and 4th rounders, that won't happen. But you do know that this also becomes a slap in the face for the minority. Because you're also saying, well, you hired a minority, here's a bonus. Thank you for hiring the minority, but you're also saying because you have a minority, you need a little extra help. The optics are not good. And let me tell you, there isn't a general manager or head coach who's minority when they take over that job and they're telling you, give me extra help because I'm Latin, I'm black, I'm Asian. Those guys would be disgusted with that thought. It's really just a sad rule. And you know what's the worst part about it? Ozzie Newsome, for 30 years, proved to you that a black man can be a great executive. Not a good executive, not a decent executive, a Hall of Fame executive. A black man proved that he can win championships, can create a winning culture, can create a culture, period. Because Ozzie Newsome changed coaches, changed players. The culture was the same. It's still there. Established by him, by the players he brought in, by the winning culture that he created. And he won a championship with one type of team in the early 2000s. And then later on, won it in another way with a passing team, not a defensive team. And then on his way out, he tried something innovative and left them with Lamar Jackson. Whether it works or not, we'll see, but it's still something different. And he got that at the end of the 1st round as a project. We had Tony Dungy head to the Hall of Fame. Black coach. Success in 2 different places. Won a championship with the Colts. I mean, How much more do you need? You got a black general manager, you got a black coach. Well, why don't you go find the next one? NFL. But you don't. And we have Mike Tomlin, who's the younger version of Tony Dungy. And, I mean, two different types of the way they coach and the way they carry themselves. But my point is, another minority. So it's not like examples didn't exist. It's not like we didn't have minorities that didn't have success. All three guys that I'm talking about, two of them are Hall of Famers, right? I know Ozzy's already as a player. They haven't put him in as an executive, but, I mean, that's only a matter of time, right? That's like a no-brainer. Tony Dungy's a Hall of Famer. Mike Tomlin's headed for the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry, you don't hire a lot of minorities, but some of them are turning out to be Hall of Famers. Well, why don't you hire more? I don't get it. And so you got to come up with this cheesy-ass rule to try to tempt people. And look, I know I've already heard it from Dolphin fans. Hey, is it retroactive for the Dolphins? Can we do that now for the Dolphins since they've got a black head coach and a black general manager? Oh, by the way, their top two executives next to the general manager are also black. All right? I'm proud of you, Stephen Ross. You did it without incentive. You did it without any kind of bias. You did it out of pure balls. You did it out of intelligence. You did it out of courage. And hopefully you're going to be rewarded for it for a long time to come. But Stephen Ross, and I was thinking about this over the weekend when I saw it. I retweeted, well, then it's the Stephen Ross rule, right? Because we have the Rooney rule. But then I was thinking, this is an insult to Stephen Ross. I can't call this the Stephen Ross rule. My bad. Because Stephen Ross didn't need an incentive to hire a minority. He did it because he thought that was the best candidate for his team. He didn't do it because, hey, let me hire the token black guy. Hey, I'm going to hire him because he seems like a cool guy. He wasn't looking for a stat. He wasn't looking for a token guy. He wasn't doing it out of pity. He did it because he thought this was the best way to go. He's tried so many other ways. Hey, maybe I have the guy right inside my organization. What a shocker. So the minority GM gets the minority head coach. And by the way, could I say it's a minority quarterback? Would Tua count as that? Right?
As a Samoan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say yes.
Okay.
Maybe not in Hawaii, but,
right.
Over here, yeah. I think it, what I was just looking up, surprising. Ozzie Newsome was never GM of the year, executive football operation. Never won it.
Really?
I just was looking. I don't see it in the awards.
Wow. That's weird.
Which, yeah, exactly. Because that guy was awesome.
It's one of the best ever.
Yes, exactly.
One of the best ever, period. And he's black.
And Baltimore, yeah, you knew when that guy's stepping down, you're going to lose something. It's going to be hard to match up against that guy and what he's accomplished.
Oh, he was a great – and how many great players become great GMs? Like zero. Like it doesn't happen. It's so rare. It's like a joke. It's an anomaly. Seriously.
Oh, yeah, it's one out of 1,000.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Michael Jordan and look at Ozzie Newsome. It's like
that's
night and day.
Yes, yeah. You couldn't be more polar
both
opposite.
Great players. I know Michael is the GOAT, and I know Ozzie is not the GOAT, but damn, he's one of the greatest tight ends I've ever seen in my life. I mean, one of the greatest.
For his time, Ozzie probably was
beast.
The best, yes.
Beast. Well, he was in the Kellen Winslow era he's the back end of the Kellen Winslow era. So, I don't know. You know what I mean? But whatever. Doesn't matter. He was great, bro. He was great. One of the best tight ends I've ever seen in my life. And then he turned into one of the greatest front office men ever.
Here, you said it, Keller wins. Tony Gonzalez. Like right in between. That guy was.
Yeah, he's right.
He was
right there.
One of the best during his time.
He was so good, man. So good. But to me, it's just a joke that the NFL would go and that these old white geezers think that this is, we're being proactive here. We're being progressive here. No, dude, this makes you look so racist. It's not even funny. I mean, they could, the NFL owners should actually, that really seriously, the NFL owners should really hang out with NBA owners and learn how to be more human beings and learn how to connect with all kinds of people because they just don't. Whereas the NBA can connect with you if you're a man, if you're a woman, if you're gay, if you're a minority, you're accepted for your talents, not your sexuality, your sexual orientation, your color, your religion, nothing. They don't take any of that into account. They don't care about that. It's about your
They're
credentials.
non-factors. They're non-factors.
Yeah, just credentials, bro. That's phenomenal. That's the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be about your credentials. And in the NFL, there just seems to be those politics that are always involved.
And you know something? At every turn, these guys always get it wrong.
Yeah.
They're just
Whereas
so
the NBA,
lost.
The NBA always gets it right.
Yeah, they're up.
Always.
They are with us in the 21st century.
Oh, yeah.
Football is back in 1940, 1950, just
they're still stuck there.
And stuck, yeah.
Yeah, they're still stuck there. And remember, the AFL sped up football because the NFL had 2 or 4 black players before the AFL. They didn't have more than that, and they wouldn't have 1 and they wouldn't have 3 because they wanted to make sure they roomed together. The AFL, people like Sid Luckman, okay, people like Hank Stram, who were progressive, said, no, we're not doing that black and white crap. No. Linebackers will hang out with linebackers. DBs will hang out with DBs. O-linemen will hang out with O-linemen. That's how we want our people to hang so they can get to know each other. They can build camaraderie. It's not about your color. It's about the people, the position. That's how Sid Luckman did it. That's how Hank Stram did it. And the AFL was the league that said, we're going to get the best players. And they said, well, guess what? A lot of the best players are in black colleges. Let's go get them. And then that forced the NFL to bring in more of the black man, the black athlete. So this has been an organization that has been trapped in its ways forever. And everybody else has had to try to pull them out of it. And the AFL forced them to a certain extent. And they've gradually grown, obviously, because life has evolved. You know what I mean? Because we have evolved as a society. We still have way too much racism, but we did, vote in a black president. So we have made some progress. Okay? Don't tell me, because I know that there's more people like me in this country, okay, that are accepting of others. We still have those idiots, and we're always going to have some of those idiots. We have less of them, but we still have them, and they're loud. And I get it. But we've made some progress. But the NFL, it's just not there yet. And when you come up with an archaic rule like this, I can tell you, you're not even close to really getting it down pat and doing it right. This is insulting. And at first I wanted to call it the Stephen Ross rule because Stephen Ross obviously is, I don't know, I guess he's the pioneer right now of the NFL. In 2020, he's the pioneer. He's the guy that went and hired a black general manager and a black head coach. I mean, that's pioneering. And we're in 2020, dude. Think about that. We're in 2020. And the Dolphins and Stephen Ross are pioneering right now for the NFL.